Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. It is good to see you once again. Today I just wanted to show you a few of the projects on the bench. It's been a few weeks since my last video, and I've had a few things going on. As always, there's always so much to do and see. First up, we have this Athearn Blue Box SD40-2. This has a new Canon nose, some Tichy Train Group grab irons, but it's got its first coat of yellow for web asset management, a lease unit with Austin and Western Railroad. And I find the yellow to be a little too bright, actually. It's a little too bright, so I'm probably going to redo this, hit it with another yellow that's a little darker, like Tamiya Camel Yellow. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'll have a full video on this in the future, of course. Next up, we have this Walthers T-Box car. This was purchased at the Temple Train Show last month. I actually looked up images of 662266, this very same boxcar number, to see what kind of graffiti it had and tried to replicate that as best I can. This is a work in progress, of course. I still have that other right side of this boxcar, and I have no idea what the other side looks like, but maybe we'll freelance that or do something else. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm still doing the graffiti. It's been a lot of fun. Next up, this is a Hornby 00 gauge Class 395 Javelin. Now, of course, these were the trains that my wife and I took from Canterbury to London just about every day for 2 weeks. And Manhattans, when they were still open, they had this train pack with the locomotive and 2 of the coaches, and I bought the extra coach pack afterwards and got the full train set. And I wanted to add a decoder and sound to this, so why don't we open it up and take a look at what's inside. So inside you can see the motherboard has an 8-pin connector, and there isn't really a great spot for the decoder, so I just used the ribbon connector that ESU sells to connect from a Next 18 plug to the 8-pin connector. I really didn't want to mess with the lighting and all that stuff that Hornby has, so I decided to just leave the stock motherboard and the stock 8 pins. And we have a scale sound system speaker there in the back, and for the most part you can't really see these in the locomotive unless you're really up close and looking for them. The sound profile is from DC Kits and is a Lego Man Biffo sound profile for the Javelin, and honestly I'm really impressed with the sound quality on this. And here you can see how I originally intended to fit this decoder, and if I did a hard wiring setup I probably could have made this work, but with the connector it's just too tall, and the shell just wouldn't fit. I had thought that putting the speaker in this vestibule area would be really clever, but unfortunately it just didn't work out. Why don't we take a listen to those sounds and check out some of the performance. The door closing beeping is very nostalgic to me, I will be honest. And the slow speed performance, actually pretty good, pretty solid. Next up is an EFE Rail LSWR, I think it's a 8-ton wagon. I purchased a pair of these at Rails of Sheffield last year when we were visiting overseas, and it was always my intention to repaint these and maybe get some custom decals made, make these into Railroad Operating Division wagons. So I tried out painting them with Tamiya's neutral gray out of the airbrush. On the right you can see the Tamiya, on the left is the stock paint scheme. It's a little bit warmer, and the Tamiya is a little bit more blue. And here it is compared to a Rapido War Department wagon, and you can see the War Department wagon is maybe just a little warmer as well. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to respray these. I think it's kind of close, kind of going back and forth on it. But here's all the Rapido wagons, and then that EFE Rail wagon at the back to give an idea of what this looks like. Those Rapido wagons are really nice, but I wanted to fill out the rolling stock options a little bit with these EFE Rail wagons, so hopefully I can get that paint scheme and those decals made, and we can have more for the Railroad Operating Division locomotives to pull. Next up is a new addition. This is from Bachmann. This is an E4 062 tank locomotive. Purchased this from Clark Railworks a couple weeks ago, and it is my intention to backdate this to a pre-grouping E4. And yes, this is going to be painted up in Railroad Operating Division color scheme, black with the white lettering. I've already broken this down into its requisite parts, but I'm going to have to remove some of the more modern appliances, cut back the smoke box about 3 millimeters. It's going to be an interesting process, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm going to try to mill out some of the frame to fit a speaker and maybe a Lokesound micro or nano decoder. Not sure yet. The World War I narrow gauge layout is coming together, slowly, but it is. We've got the additional Blair Line laser cut loading dock kits with one with a ramp. I just need to paint the rest of these. I've already got one done, and we've got more of the staging yard to put in. It's got the wires already soldered to the rails. We just need to install it and feed those wires through and get that track more permanently fixed to the layout. And so far, performance is not too bad. That one switch in the corner, it does occasionally hang up on, because the wheelbase of the locomotive is just such that it fits within the point rails. And if those blades aren't making good contact, then it just stalls out. I need to solder the connections of the switch to get that to have a more reliable electrical connection. Lastly is the revisiting a little bit of the Bachmann ROD 280. Unfortunately, this one took a little bit of a tumble and landed on the floor, but thankfully it was very minor damage. One of the steps along the running plate snapped off. That's already been glued on. The drawbar between the tender and the locomotive bent. Thankfully, it was easy enough to bend back. And there's some minor paint chipping along the running plate as well. You can kind of see it, but thankfully it's very minor. It should be easy enough to just repaint. And then the crew, they completely jumped from the cab, to avoid injury, and I just need to put them back into their positions. I've only affixed them with some PVA Elmer's glue. Thankfully, they didn't really leave any marks or damage. Just got to get that back up and running. Well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for watching. As always, there's so much on the workbench, and hopefully I'll have some actual full videos to show you of completed projects. That SD40-2 is sort of the next big thing that I'm working on right now, and that's going to get the full Blue Box upgrade treatment. So I hope you look forward to that, but that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content and are looking forward to more projects, and hopefully I'll have more to show you in the future.